Welcome back to Breakfast Daily on City TV. And you can send your messages in, join the conversation. WhatsApp is 0550-585832 and hashtag Breakfast Daily. So we've been speaking about labor unrest in the healthcare sector. Now we're going to be talking about some unrest on the roads. And we're talking about the aboboyaa issue. Okay, so our Greater Accra Regional Minister, Honorable Henry Quartey, issued basically a directive stating that starting next month, there will be, let's see, certain areas where aboboyaa cannot go. Okay, so we'll start with the motorway next month. Then by February, they're supposed to remain in the localities within which they mainly operate and not cross major highways into other areas. Okay, now we understand that the minority in Parliament has an issue with some aspects of this. Let's take a look at this and we'll come back and talk.
Represented by the ranking member on the Transport Committee of Parliament, Gavins Agboja, also addressed the media on a ban on the use of tricycles, popularly known as aboboyaa, on the Tema motorway by the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Henry Quartey. According to him, the minister does not have the legal backing to issue such a directive.
There is a regional minister trying to suggest that he is taking the job of the MTTD and others. No, we all want to help him do his job. But it appears he's taking on responsibilities which he cannot back with any law in this country, and we are cautioning him.
All right, so that was Governor Kwame Agboja, Member of Parliament, speaking on this, ranking member, Transportation Committee. But so they're saying there's a legal issue here. They say that the regional minister is overstepping his bounds as regional minister and is not in his place to make such a directive. What do you say about this?
I find it fascinating that government should make that statement because the regional minister is in charge of the security of
the chairman of the regional
of the RECSEC, right? So if he's referring to MTTD, he's the boss of MTTD in a certain sense, right?
Yes, he chairs the Regional Security Council that coordinates security issues.
Yes.
So if the RECSEC deems aboboyaa as a threat to our health, safety, and security, it can be discussed at the level for a strategy to be put in place to deal with it. And so I think that the regional minister still has a key role to play in sanitizing the space. Aboboyaas, Okadas, they seem to come up in the conversation every now and again. Now, Koki, quick question. How do you evacuate your waste from your home?
Oh, Kojo, this matter. If not for aboboyaa, my house would be swimming in rubbish. That is what we rely on.
How do you evacuate your waste in your
home? I typically there's a truck. There's a massive. I'm not sure it's. I'm trying to remember the name of the company, but it's one of these waste companies. It's not Jacora, but it operates within the.
There's Alliance Waste, there's Jacora, there are a lot of different waste companies.
I think it may be Alliance.
Okay.
Because they've come to put their sticker on our gate recently. It's Alliance. Yeah.
Okay.
Alliance Waste.
So they come to pick your waste?
Yes. Well, they try to be there every week.
Okay.
Sometimes they push it to about 10 days. But they come.
That's the reason why I'm asking this question. Most homes, how many waste bins do you have?
We have one big one.
We have a large.
And then in the house you have your dustbins, and then you empty all the rubbish. Put them into your big waste bin. So we've got one big waste bin that we put outside.
And do you do any waste segregation?
No.
Good.
No.
Zero.
You see, the waste ecosystem has improved remarkably over the past 30 years with waste recycling companies, with upcycling startups, with all those things. But what has not really improved is how we segregate waste and how we transport waste. For me, the waste company that picks my waste, they come every Sunday. They are supposed to come every Sunday, but sometimes you don't come. And you have your waste bin full. Now, in that case, if you do not want to deal with the stench and the aboboyaa boys come around, what do?
Give it to them.
You give them the waste, they go and throw away. But what we don't know really is where they take it to.
Yeah.
Some of them will go and dump it in some bush. Some of them will take it to the landfill site. So the landfill site, the Insumia landfill site. Some of them will take it to the Accra compost and recycling plant for it to be sorted and recycled. Now, if they are going to go to Pone, they would have to use the motorway.
Yes.
If they are going to Accra Compost and Recycling Plant in Ajin Kotoku, they have to use the N6.
Yeah.
They are going to Insumia, which they don't go because Insumia is behind in Sawam. It's too far. They won't go. Now, the aboboyaa comes and charges me 150 cedis. Yes, and he has to make that trip to any of these spaces. Ideally, what must exist are waste compacting trucks, like the ones that go to Kweku's house or the ones that come to my house, which will come around and take the waste and compact and take it safely to the places. But we don't have them. So we introduced waste collection stations, transfer stations, where aboboyaas could take the waste to. Then the bigger, they'll be sorting the metal separated, this separated, everything separate.
Could you just hold on a sec? I understand we have Honorable Governor Kwame Aboboyaa on the line.
Okay.
So we can speak to him about what he said in his press conference. So good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, my friend, and good morning to your church viewers and listeners.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. All right, so we're discussing this issue of the aboboyaas using major highways and the declaration by the regional minister, Henry Quartey, that there are going to be some restrictions as to the movement of aboboyaa. You are saying that he's kind of overstepping his bounds, that he doesn't have legal backing to make such a statement. We want to find out from you where you're coming from on this and why you think the regional minister for the Greater Accra region is out of place. Yes.
Good. Thank you very much. First of all, I agree that we should all do or take steps to make our environment clean. In fact, I don't think it should take a president to tell us to do that, because I remember a president in the past, President Rawlings, went as far as even physically entering the gutters in front of people's houses to help them disable it as a sign of commitment and leadership. It is this same NPP government, the UP, who were saying that was populism. Secondly, I know this making Accra the cleanest city in Africa was a 2017 issue. We are in 2021. But even all that said, I still believe that it is the right thing to do to get our cities, and particularly Accra, clean. In the specific case of my very good friend, the regional minister, suggesting that within 90 days, certain vehicles or motorcycles can't use the motorway. All I try to do is to draw his attention that, yes, the Constitution gives powers to local assemblies to make bylaws. That is why they call it bylaws. So assemblies don't make parent laws. Indeed, one classical example is assemblies are allowed to charge fees and other things. But it's interesting to know that when assemblies go to their sessions and make the proposals as to how much they want to charge for property rates and other things, they put them all together in a document, send them through the Ministry of local government, and it ends up with the finance minister. And the finance minister puts that proposal in a document called fees and charges, brings them to Parliament to be approved. So there's no way where the Constitution gives unfettered powers to any assembly or RCC to make substantive law. In the case of saying that aboboyaa can't use the motorway, we have to be realistic. I heard one of your panelists giving a very good example of what the situation is. They are doing that because we do not have enough recycling plants within Accra. So this morning, when we all put our litter in front of our house, it's somebody's responsibility to remove them and safely take them somewhere that it will be disposed of. Sadly, the biggest one around this area, they say no. So you see them on the motorway not because they want to break the law. Yes, the speed at which they ride is a poses hazard. The same way the speed at which truck runs stop by the motorway and rejoin, the speed at which motorcycles, bicycles, and everything on the motorway pose. In fact, the condition of the surface of the motorway itself is a hazard. So you cannot just unilaterally usurp powers you don't have and say that you can stop aboboyaa from using the motorway. I'm just reminding him that currently you can stop vehicles from using public roads when, one, the vehicle is not registered, the driver is unlicensed, the vehicle is not insured, or the cycle is not insured, or they don't have the appropriate roadworthiness certificate. Those were the risks. So it doesn't matter whether it's a tricycle, a motorcycle, or a Ferrari. You can stop them from using the route. So I'm saying that if these are the needs of the assembly under the Honorable Henry Quartey as the Honorable Regional Minister, then they should just put these proposals together forward them to the transport minister together with how do you call it, road related agencies. Then it will be brought to Parliament either in an airline or a regulation. Then we work on it. Then it becomes a uniform law. The motorway.
All right. Apologies for that. We have a bit of a technical hitch with the line, but that was Honorable Governor Kwame Aboboyaa just explaining the minority's stance. Okay, Honorable, are you back with us? Okay, unfortunately, we have lost him. Hopefully, we'll get him back on the line. But he was explaining his perspective. So he brought up the issue of, in his words, constitutionally, he feels due process has not been followed, that the minister on his own or is not that autonomous to create this kind of law that would stop aboboyaa from using our major highways. That's one. Then he brought up the issue you raised, Kojo, about the fact that there aren't enough dumping sites for refuse, so they are forced to use sites that will mean that they have to use these major highways. Okay, then he roped in a few other things, but those are the issues we're dealing with right now. I hear we have him back on the line. Honorable. All right, so yeah, we were just going through the issues you raised again. So basically, you have an issue with the minister, should we say, acting a bit autonomously on this. You think a process has to be followed, and that process has not been followed. And then you also have the issue with not enough dumping sites. Therefore, aboboyaa drivers will still be forced to use our major highways, which would make this directive really null and void. Are we okay?
Yes, so you see, there's a reason LI 2180 is almost unenforceable by the MTTD. And they've said it publicly, we all know about it. Duke, one of the best parliamentary correspondents who works with you, can tell you this morning, in front of Parliament, there is an Okada station there. There are staff of Parliament who will take Okada to work. This morning, there will be a policewoman in Adaplu who will take Okada to work. But in the law, the LI 2180, all these things are criminal acts. We need to review the law. We can't use decrees and comments by the executive or anybody to address it. So all I'm saying is that if these are the things that we identify as hazards on the motorway, by the way, aboboyaa cannot be the solution. Removing aboboyaa from the motorway cannot be the solution to making the motorway entirely safe. That is why I mentioned trotros stopping and re-entering, motorcycles, broken down vehicles, very slow, even heavy trucks on the motorway, and including the surface condition of the motorway itself poses a hazard. So we can deal with them holistically. I just expect my colleague minister, my MP, who is the Greater Accra Regional Minister, to do the right thing. He does not have the capacity to make a substantive law. The Assembly do not have the capacity to make substantive laws. They cannot extend the word, bylaws, make bylaws to mean that they can do anything they like. So let them put these things together, forward it to the apex body and that's the local government ministry, and then together with the road and transport ministers, they can bring a substantive legislation to Parliament, so it will be an open debate with memoranda and everything. Then we can make a law that is fit for purpose and enforceable, so we don't fall into the trap of LI 2180 again. That is all we are calling for. But it appears the minister has always received praises from all of you and all of us, that he doesn't expect anybody to question him if he's going wrong. And this one is not personal.
Well, I'm not sure if he's been that explicit in that regard.
No, because everybody says, in fact, other stations tell me that, well, it is not my job to determine that how anybody feels about it. I am saying that the law does not allow any RC or this assembly to make a substantive law to the extent of restricting the use of a public road. I don't think they have that power.
So let me ask you, Honorable. So even as chairman of the RegSec in Accra, if he deems aboboyaa to be a security risk in terms of being on our roads, you still feel he doesn't have jurisdiction to handle it in the way he's doing?
Okay, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Whenever we have high-profile individuals coming to Accra for major meetings, heads of state and other things, you will notice that the road between the airport and either Kempinski or other hotels are closed down.
Yes.
Temporarily. that is based on security at night all the time.
Okay.
That is acceptable. But imagine if that becomes the norm, that perpetually certain vehicles or people can use that road. It will be chaos. So I am saying that, yes, the RegSec, in fact, the RegSec is not the biggest authority in terms of security. They have the National Security. We even have a Minister for National Security now. The Minister of National Security can bring a proposal. That is the key. I'm just saying that the local government structure has a limit to what they can do in terms of legislation within the remit of the law.
Okay.
Beyond that, they need to refer that to a higher authority. So the regional minister, if he wakes up this morning and says that they feel that there's a hazard, there's an imminent danger to something, so temporarily certain decisions have to be taken, that will be accepted. But that cannot become a law by itself, because at the end of the day, when people break that law, there must be a basis for which they are punished. And currently, he doesn't have that power to do that. And the opportunity is there for him to do that appropriately. And that's all we are calling for.
Okay. All right.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Maybe, Kweku, on a question of law, maybe
Yeah.
you and
We could break it
Clemens
down
and
a bit.
Selim could break it down a bit more, the legalese. But, okay, so in speaking to him, it looks like he's strictly dealing with the legal aspects of this, going with the
And
law.
the remit within which
the mandate with which the regional minister is
Yeah,
operating.
yeah.
That seems to be the crux of his issue, and not necessarily him explicitly being opposed to aboboyaa being banned on our highways. I think he's more concerned with the fact that, in his view, due process hasn't been followed in legalizing the action that the minister
I'm
is
not
calling
much
for.
of a law person, or
Yeah.
I'm just a concrete and iron rods guy. But I know that in the UK, even though legally there is no minimum speed on the motorway, if you are driving slowly on the motorway, which could make it unsafe for other
dangerous.
motorists, the police will stop you. They will stop you.
Yeah.
You have to move at a certain, that's why it's a motorway. That's why its speed limit is different from urban roads, which are 50 kilometers per hour, from other highways, which are 80 kilometers per hour. If you are driving on that German
The Autobahn.
you cannot go and do 50 kilometers per hour on the
At
Autobahn.
all. It's
It's
dangerous.
designed
You're actually a
for
danger.
specific speeds. Our motorway, frankly, I don't think it's no longer a motorway. It should be renamed to the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Street or something, because it's no longer a motorway. There are developments all around. The conditions that made it a motorway are not there.
completely
Potholes and everything. So we should actually drop the speed limit on that motorway to the regular urban road motorway. Then aboboyas can run on them. But if it's still considered a motorway, the speeds at which they run, the maneuverings they do,
dangerous.
usually put people at risk.
Yes.
So there is the law and there is the common sense. There is the law and there is the common sense. So we can weigh both of them. Now back to the waste issue that we're discussing. So they hardly come on time. They are hardly consistent in your area. You are a bit lucky. They are a bit consistent.
Oh, for us, sometimes we even call the aboboyaa just
Mine,
come
they are
because,
about 70% consistent. So we need to look at the structures around our waste management to be able to do a better job. As of 2017, we had only 2 waste transfer stations. I don't have the numbers now, and that was only in Greater Accra. I don't have the numbers now, but I'm not sure we have up to 10 waste transfer stations for aboboyas to, all smaller vehicles to carry waste from homes, take it to the transfer stations.
Yeah.
We sort the organic waste, which is about 60%, is taken to Jakura, Accra Compost, or wherever to be converted into compost and energy.
Yeah.
The plastic, which is about 14 to 15%, is recycled and put in bales and exported. You know, we export plastic waste from here.
Oh, really?
And it's used to make jerseys and other things
I see.
abroad. And then we also convert some to pellets here in Ghana and used to make other things. Then the metallic waste is also extracted by the magnetic units and then taken to Tema to be used for other things.
Scrap metal to melt down.
Paper
Yeah.
is also separated and used for. We don't have that. Now, what we need is a comprehensive system of segregation from home, from source. So, Koku, you don't put everything together.
Right.
We also need the transfer stations in instances where people cannot segregate because of circumstances beyond their control, to also do sorting so that these people can come and pick and take there. Or we ensure that we use the various environmental levies we collect and the funds to give funding to the waste companies to be able to buy the huge compactors, right? The big machines which are safe on the highways and everything.
Yeah.
And they don't need to have only one. They need to have multiple so that Mondays, if they are coming, they are picking plastics alone. There's a truck that picks plastics. Tuesdays, they come and pick organic waste because you've sorted. Wednesday, they pick this. So that we use the waste as a resource, because now all over the world, everybody is using waste as a resource.
Everybody.
So I think that the regional minister's directive was not well thought through. That's why they suspended it and they moved it forward. They need to engage and put in place the structures. Because look, like Okadas, you cannot eliminate Okada from the multimodal transport system. And when politicians who have failed to deliver public mass transport to us go to parliament and go on radio and say we should ban Okadas, I think they just don't sit down to think and analyze things.
You heard what Honorable just said. You get police personnel using Okada at parliament as mode of transport.
This morning when I was coming to work, I woke up quite late, so I didn't use my regular route. I used Katamanso through Nanakrum. I saw a mother with 4 kids at dawn, 5:35ish, in some isolated place. So I stopped. Where are you going? I'm going to Medina. So how will you go? Oh, sometimes somebody will give us a lift, or when an Okada passes, the eldest son will sit with one of the small kids and go to Nanakrum and take a car, and then that is not a healthy way of supporting the livelihoods of Ghanaians. So, like public transportation, we failed. On the waste, we are seeing gains. Now we are paying a sanitation and waste levy. It's going to attract between 400, 500, 600, 800 million Ghana cedis a year. Government must give us an account of that levy every year. In fact, ideally every quarter, if they can. And let us know how we are investing that to make our lives better. Because removing certain components, look, if the Okadas were not, the aboboyas were not needed, if they were not functioning in the space, they wouldn't have survived.
Exactly.
The space has created an opportunity for them to survive.
Bottom line at the end of the day.
Even here at City, sometimes the waste company doesn't come. It's an aboboya which comes to pick the waste. Where do you expect them to take it to?
Exactly.
So it's a good conversation to have.
Conversation is the word.
Yes.
It needs to be a dialogue.
And we need to back directives, suggestions, actions, and pronouncements with the right investment in resourcing the system to work. We are paying for this. We need to see results.
All right.
Every Ghanaian must ask, what's that sanitation levy that you pay for when you buy fuel? That's why your fuel price, one of the reasons why your fuel price has gone up.
It's going up.
What we are using it for, because a minimum of 400 million Ghana cedis should be able to also transform the system a bit.
It should. Well, we are told there's no money, Kojo. Would you be willing to, okay.
No, there's no money, but we are paying for sanitation.
If we are told that in order for us to have more waste transfer points, in order for us to get the aboboyas off major highways and operate in their localities, in order for us to get bigger compacting trucks, you have to pay a bit more of a sanitation levy. Would you be willing to?
You see, it gets to a point when it doesn't even come to us paying more. Like, we've just established that waste is a resource. If you look at the work that Asiedu Truthman, Asiedu Dankwa, Mieza did on classifying waste here. In Ghana, 61% of our waste is organic, 14% plastic, 5% paper, 2% textile, 6% e-waste, 3% metal. Textile waste is being used by GASEM to fire their kilns.
So basically, we're throwing away money.
We are throwing away money.
So
the minister
we're out of time,
should also, but he should invest in public education. Let's start segregation. Let's start getting all these resources we call waste to fund our good lifestyles that we want to have.
So waste doesn't have to be a problem because it's already a resource.
Thank you
so
very
much, Kojo.
Your master's degree is working. Charlie, you did form. Kojo Akatobuateng. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Can I have this?
Yes, take some Creamy Plus.
Okay.
That will help
this
you.
particular one
You
or
have
a
to
different
drink.
one?
No, this one is for us, so you have to go and find some. While Kojo goes to look for some Creamy Plus, we'll be back. It's still Breakfast Daily on CCTV.
More
Stay
conversations
tuned.
coming.